There we go. Okay, so now we're going to record, and Gail is going to share her story with us. But first, I want to, so that we can all be present to this, the scripture that we chose before she gets started. So it's where there is no vision, the people perish. That's Proverbs 29:18. Is a powerful statement about the importance of a clear purpose and direction in life and leadership. It emphasizes that without a vision, without a clear vision, the people may become lost, restless, and ultimately lead to destruction. So, the destruction part, I thought about if you're not really clear about your vision, or you're listening to other people that are watering down your vision or say you should change it or you can't do that, then it may be destroyed. So we don't want to do that. But when you are clear, so want to keep in mind the also the questions are, is your vision clear? Are you passionate about your vision? Do you have a burning in you about that vision? Like you wake up, you talk about it, you know it's going to happen, you don't always know how. There are going to be some breakdowns, but there are going to be some breakthroughs. So I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Gail. Gail was the president of the New Orleans School Board for over 20 years and the executive director for the YWCA in New Orleans, sit on many boards and still doing incredible work with a lot of organizations. And she's also one of the key people with our education project in New Orleans. So, Gail, ta-da! Turn it over to you.
Thanks, Valerie.
No,
Thanks.
so one other thing, I told Lorelai, I said we want to do a story about Gail and have her present because she raised raised $1 million. So I told Gail, I said, Gail, I told Lorelai we're gonna want you to talk and say how you raised $1 million. And she got quiet and she said, well, Valerie, I didn't raise $1 million. I actually raised 4 million. I'm like, well, excuse me. That's but now, Gail, you go ahead and talk.
Well, thanks, Valerie. Valerie, you deserve all the applause for the terrific work, wonderful work that you're doing, and I so appreciate you. My
Absolutely.
story begins in 1984 when I resigned as the vice president of the Urban League of Greater New Orleans. I resigned in order to run for the Orleans Parish School Board. That was something that I really had not planned on doing. But we had just finished a lot of community activism around the issues of education. We stopped the closing of a school and got the school board to reform its way in which it prepared its budget, uh, sued the school board really to ensure that there was transparency in the election of the superintendent and a number of other things. And one of the members, Elizabeth Rack, was retiring off of the board, and I was encouraged to run. At the Urban League, you cannot run for public office and still work for the Urban League. So I had to resign from my wonderful job as vice president of programs at the Urban League to run for this thankless position of a school board member. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that part of thankless. Because if you are serious and you want to do some work, your expectation should not be that you're going to be lauded and hailed and appreciated, but you must do the work. And it's a lot of work. Well, anyway, I resigned, and I was fortunate enough that I was elected in, and at the same time, I was appointed executive director of the YWCA.
Wow.
Following my induction into on the school board, I was elected my first year as vice president. And I served on that board from 1985 to 2005, 20 years. And of those 20 years, my colleagues elected me either president or vice president for 11 or 12 years of those 20. So when I when I was elected, I had the good fortune of having a number of people who supported me, who we met on Saturdays. We went over the agenda together. They gave me feedback, and they were just there for me. It was a wonderful connection between community members and myself as I attempted to establish a clear vision for what I wanted to do in my service as an elected official and a school board member. Through the help and with the help of my good friends and colleagues, we were very clear on the things that we wanted to focus on and to use that platform to get some things accomplished. And this is aside from the usual things that you do as a school board member, making decisions about opening, closing schools, approving the budget, and all of the other things that require board approval. There were 4 areas that we envisioned that we could make a difference and that we were going to work towards. One major issue as we assessed the needs of the system was the need to reduce the number of young people who did not complete the 12th grade, who did not finish a high school, the dropout rate. The second was the number of young people who were not continuing their post-secondary education. It was a time when there was a reduction in assistance through Pell Grants, etc. And there were only a few schools that were really keeping tab on the youngsters who were going on past their secondary education. So we wanted to do something in that area. The third was to focus on improving and increasing the number of youngsters who were in early education, that is, pre-first grade, including kindergarten and pre-K, pre-kindergarten. We had other goals, of course, like air conditioning all the schools. New Orleans is a hot place, and the schools, all of the schools were not air conditioned, and it was really a very uncomfortable environment in many of the schools without air conditioning. In the first area, we established, as it relates to academic improvement, we decided to invent, if you will, a foundation to support youngsters continuing their education by providing scholarships for them. We did something somewhat unusual in that we established a 501c3 organization. And when I say invent, I really mean invent, because we gathered in a large room that the school board would usually have its executive meetings, and invited to a meeting were civic leaders, the presidents of the local universities, parents, business people, etc. And we sat at this table and talked about what the needs were as it relates to establishing a foundation that would support scholarships for young people. Some folk at that table talked about, well, we had to go through this organization, the Kellogg and the this and the that, of what we needed to do to be able to provide the funds to do that. And I said, what I think we need to do is not wait for a grant, not wait for donations outside the system. What we have is a system of 100,000 plus young people and a staff and faculty and administration of hundreds. And I think what we should consider is how do we use that magnificent resource of people to do what we need to do for our children, and we do it ourselves. And we knocked around a number of ideas. People talked about maybe having raffles and, uh, with cars and whatever. And we continue to think about that. And I suggested that we allow the children to be a part of those students in the system, to be a part of helping themselves to do something that would improve their lives. And so we came up with this idea of we got 100,000 young children, young people in our system, and hundreds of adults supporting them. What if every family, every child, what have you, would give $1? And we knocked that idea around. We knocked it around until we came up with the idea that, yes, the system would provide for itself the funds to give scholarships to the seniors, graduating seniors, and for the elementary schools, which they had many more elementary schools than they had high schools. And so for the elementary through junior high school, those youngsters would have enrichment grants. Those would be grants for in the summer, the young people could be recommended by their teachers and counselors, etc. Uh, and they would receive grants to attend various camps and enrichment programs locally and throughout the United States. To make a long story short, within a year, within that year, I was elected in 1985. We were able to put together this foundation within that year, established ourselves as a 501c3, conducted a campaign. My good friend Gwendolyn Green, who was an outstanding second grade teacher, volunteered to be the coordinator for the effort. And along with those persons who agreed to serve on the board, in 1985, our first year, we raised $85,000. Now, the schools each had an enrollment, of course, and each school's goal was whatever its enrollment was. And through that effort, we were able to begin the New Orleans. It was named for the system, New Orleans Public Schools Scholarship Foundation. And it has operated since 1985 to now, 2025. When Katrina hit in 2005, we were preparing for our annual Dollars for Scholars Gala, and that never happened. But we have been able to provide scholarships even after Katrina consistently.
Wow.
And we were able to do that because between 1985 and 2005, we annually moved from the what we called the in-school campaign. That was the youngsters giving their dollars, their 25 cents or whatever in those envelopes that we prepared and gave to each student in the system. And through good management of that in school campaign and the annual Dollars for Scholars Gala, we were able to provide and continue to provide scholarships for deserving New Orleans public school students. Now, to give you an example of the kind of monies that we were able and have been able to raise, in 2000, for example, um, I was talking with the executive director who served for 13, 14 years uh, directing the Dollars for Scholar Gala and other activities. That particular year in 2000, we raised $200,000. But now, you know, we had been existing since 1985. But as an example, in 2000, she said, we provided 79 high school scholarships worth $300,000. Those youngsters, many of them, went to institutions throughout the United States. Uh, she indicated that in that particular year, we had a total of 218 scholars in 50 institutions throughout the country. In that particular year, we raised from the in school campaign. We used the in school campaign for our enrichments, and we served 92 students from 60 elementary and junior high schools who were in 14 different camps that we paid their tuition directly to. Now, as I've indicated, the foundation uh, had to make a change after Katrina because we were operating in all of the schools. We had a coordinator, and all of the schools participated in one way or the other. But as you well know, unfortunately, um, the New Orleans system is now 100% charter, and that has had many, many disadvantages. One of which, um, the structure of the foundation operating in the schools changed. But as I said, we have continuously provided scholarships. So since 2005, since Katrina, we have put our focus on the local um, colleges because we give the money directly to the universities. And we give them our criteria, which continues to be a 2.5 cumulative and at least an 18 on the ACT test. So scholars in the system are selected by the universities. We give between $5,000 and $10,000 a year uh, to the local universities to assist students who have a financial need and who meet the criteria. So we are very, very grateful that we were able to think ahead, invest when we were getting in conducting the annual Dollars for Scholar Gala. And by the way, we also started something that became national. We were able, with the superintendent at that time, Superintendent Williams, Everett Williams, worked with us to get one of the larger malls. At that time, it was I can't think of the mall, downtown Valerie, across from the Superdome. Um,
Yeah, I can't
the,
think of the name of
the,
it either. I know what you're talking about though.
yeah, yeah. Well, that the malls had an association. It was an association of malls, and because we were able, did so well with the gala being held in the mall, the association, the Mall Association of United States, I guess, of America, they adopted that as a fundraising piece throughout various communities where there are malls. And it was wonderful because uh, the event would take place throughout the malls. We would have food that would be donated directly from the mall throughout the uh, the venue, and so the entire system would come and participate: teachers, principals, administrators, parents, students. It was just a wonderful time annually that we could all come together as a system and celebrate and provide funds for the young people in the system. Um, and as I said, because we managed the funds. Unfortunately, a lot of scholarship programs, they raise money and then they give it all away. Uh, we were able to figure out how we could continuously give, and our scholarships were 4 years, 4 year scholarships. We also worked with large universities to, like Tulane University here, they would give us so many scholarships. We would help select the students, and we worked with other universities. So we include, when we say 4 million, we're also including those scholarships that we were able to work out with the various universities throughout the country. But the actual scholarship monies that we gave to the youngsters were annually given to them, and they would be renewable. So on average, the youngsters who got a dollar for scholar, it was called, it was 2,400 a year, and that was multiplied times 4 years, or eight semesters. Hmm. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you have questions
Yeah,
that you'd like to ask me.
that's really incredible. One of the things I heard you say, Gail, is that when they start saying, well, we need to do the Kellogg Scout, brand and this and that, you said, no, what could we do? What could we use that we have? So I want everyone to start thinking outside of the box. What could you use? And what could you do that you already have? It's so many of you, and almost all of you have so many contacts. And I also heard you say, Gail, you use the mall to do fundraisers. I did that one year in New Orleans, used the mall in New Orleans East. But I know Sally and Roberts, they used the mall, the Uptown Mall on Canal Street. What they did is they got a car donated every year, and they would have it in that mall. And they would raffle it off. So people would come and come because they wanted the car to see who would get the car. But you thinking outside of the box, all of the contacts that you have, that you don't wait until, well, I got to get this grant. Those are fine. But what do you have? Keep and sharing your vision with passion is what will bring it in. Say, I'm working with these kids and what I want to do, and why, give them your story and see, write down all of the things that you didn't think of. You get creative, keep your passion in mind, and just ask and create it. Get passionate about it. So I just want to hear from everyone, what do you see differently, or what Gail said, or what you think that you could do differently on this call, and how could you be more passionate or with that passion to to think outside the box and raise all the monies you want. So I want everybody to get something in your mind, how much you want to raise and what you're going to do with that. So I want to go to Mary first because I see your eyes going, you're thinking. So share some of your thoughts. What are you thinking that you could do differently? And who could you talk to? You have a lot of contacts all over the world.
I really, what resonated with me, what Gail said is I love the idea of fixing the problem within the framework of the organization itself, that it would fix itself in some way. So looking for a solution within instead of outside. And to me, that creates sustainability and maybe in some way resilience. And I think I look at that every way that I can in everything that I do. But from the standpoint of creating a process or creating connections that means something, I'm going to be a little bit spiritual here. I kind of trust the good Lord to put in front of me who I need to have and how I need to move forward. So I start each day saying, let me be a better human being today than I was yesterday, please. And let me please have the blessing of whatever communications I have going on today be something that's meaningful for everybody involved, and let it be good. From that standpoint, the difference that I think that I look for, and I've honed in mostly. I'm always learning, but I'm always honing in on what I could do different or better. And I think I tend to be such a list maker that I'm looking for ways to make sure I don't miss something, and that I try to follow up on everything that I need to follow up on. If I make a promise to follow up on something, I want to be able to do it. From what, the interesting piece about what you're saying with the education piece, because I do play in that world some. And in fact, I'm in the middle of something right now that trying to put two pieces together, one from Tanzania and one here. So, and trying to help a gal who's without a lot of skills to be able to put that together, to create that coordination. And so what I've learned a long time ago when I was doing nonprofit work is always look to a volunteer, put a volunteer between you and the problem, and try to see if you can get a solution. So I tend to be such a control freak that I need to learn how to let go and let other people that I think might be able to help. And so I spent some time trying to figure out what I could do to help this one young girl, realizing my plate is really full. I can't promise to do a whole lot with her right now and then not be able to do it. And so what I realized is I had in my network a colleague I'd been trying to onboard, that I had been mentoring a bit, that I thought could be of some help. And so what I decided to do is pull her on board, ask her to have a conversation with this girl and help her to make connections, because that helps her to learn the skills and be able to create some solutions for somebody and it do good for both parties. So it's a little bit of learning for her, and it's a lot of connection maybe on the other side of the house that will help her. Plus, she's closer in age than I am to that girl. So I think that would help strengthen the bonds there. So it literally it was a light bulb moment. It's like, I don't need to fix this. I can give it to somebody else to help fix. And then that way it takes it off me. I can still be over, watching everything and still be a part of it without having to be the solution, the singular solution to it. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
If
it
you feel
does.
like it relates.
Yeah, like you turn it, letting go of the wheel. And you don't have to always drive.
Be the one driving. I can still be involved in some way, but I don't have to be the one always with the burden on my shoulder to try to fix things and make it work. But I do like that looking internally. That's a great piece of advice. So thank you, Gail. Yeah.
The other two that's really important in fundraising is to, use your resources. We never had over 2 people on staff. We used the space. The school district gave us a little office. Currently, we don't have, it's virtual. We don't, all of our stuff is stored, and we don't have the overhead expenses. We were able, the venue, the food, and all of that for the fundraiser they were donations, and so the majority of the money went to scholarships and not to putting on the slickest and whatever kind of event. Even though they were all wonderful, people volunteered and with the entertainment and all of that. So our expenses were always kept to a minimum, and the monies were either would endow it uh, or invest it. At a certain point, we had to have professional investors to help manage that kind of money when you pulling in annually from one event $200,000, and but part of that has to be invested so that it can make money. The other thing too that I think is so important, especially anything that is done on an educational level, we did not want to have the whole notion of a raffle uh, be the basis for people giving. We wanted the children to understand, even if they did not have a dollar to put in that envelope, they could put a nickel, they could put a dime, they could put 15 cents, but they were contributing towards helping themselves and helping others. And that was to us an important value that we shied away from, the whole raffle. We're not knocking if other people do it. Many organizations work it out where they raffle houses and whatever. But we thought that it was important for the children to understand the lesson that we give. The giving is as important as the receiving. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That's really great. Vanessa, what are your thoughts thinking outside of the box?
For me, it's been difficult. And Gail, thank you, because one thing you said, let me get my notes because my brain doesn't work as good. You said support with feedback. In the times that we're working in Tennessee, and for all the ladies, I'm originally from the Bay Area. So it's been very, very difficult for the last 20 years moving into Tennessee and being brought up that we help each other and we work together, and to come to Tennessee and it's a little different. So I've had to sit back, and what I'm doing is everything that Gail just said, I'm going to have to sit back and re-look at my vision, because I have a lot of passion for what I want to do, but do I have people who are just as passionate alongside of me? Because then I can't move forward without that. And to be able to have people that are supportive but will give honest feedback. And that's been extremely difficult, because everyone wants to pat you on the back. I don't want a pat on the back. If I'm going left, please steer me right. And Mary, you said something that I have been doing, is that I've been touching and agreeing over my whole building and making sure that God has a hand on the doorknobs, on everything in here. Because as crime goes up and we're losing our way with our youth, what can this building do? And then how is God going to feed me what I could do to share with them? So this has been quite a ride this year for me. Our funding has completely stopped because we work with a lot of local government, which all their funding got stopped because of federal government. But I did learn in this, I have never stressed about it because God has always supplied. And it's just what's the next step. And I think one, that clear vision, Miss Valerie, no, I don't have yet. And it's coming. I decided not to force it
Yeah.
and just let God tell me what that clear vision is, because it has changed. Make sure I have that supportive feedback and people next to me. And then you know what? The last thing you said, Gail, that was, I just thought about that. You said you had a staff of two. And I think that is important, not to have too many people in the pot to help, and to have the minimum amount of people to share what the vision is in order to get other people to understand why they should fund it. So that I'm all over the place. It's been quite a ride this year, so I'm all over the place. But I've taken little things that have definitely had me thinking more and praying over.
Okay, great. What I suggest is to get some time by yourself, even if you have to go in your closet and close the door. Because I know you got kids and a husband and people calling and all of that. Take some time and just ask and pray, God, give me the clear vision. Because so many times we're doing so much, we're waiting till it come, but we're not still enough to see it, to take that time. And once it hits you, it's like it's a burning inside you that you can't let go of. So that's what I suggest for you. Dr. Scott, did you hear anything from Gail's speech and what we're sharing about clear vision and what you can do that you haven't been thinking about, that you can raise all the funds you want?
I did, and I want to as well thank you, Gail, for sharing, and Mary, and then Vanessa, and what you were saying, and all of it just kind of wraps around much of what I have been, as you said earlier, reimagining. And I call what Gail shared the reaping and sowing. And so in putting together my bookmarks, the information, and discovering so many thousands of inventors and innovators, I did go into the schools and got the children involved and let them be a part of helping. So now they're going to be a part of the archives. Their names will be in history. And so when you said, get them to give $1 even, I said, that'll be easy now because it's their project too. And they're in the credits, and their teachers are in the credits. So then they have the teachers' support, and churches that I got involved and asked them to get their members involved. Part of that, but the San Francisco Public Library, the main library, has been a huge support in the city. I don't know with our new mayor if they'll stay aboard, and then Stanford University. So there is some favor there, but to reimagine, and I love this, just give $1, get the stats on how many children we have. That's what I was hearing. And I thought, wow, that was exploding in my heart and mind. And my need is to reproduce the bookmarks. And the city was helping me with that. They no longer do that. So it's been coming out of my pocket. And then everyone wants it free. And so the only thing I can do is wait until tax write-off and claim it as a loss. So I need to make up for all of that because it really has wiped me to the bottom of the barrel. And getting the promotion is another thing that needs to happen. And then it needs to travel. People want to have the exhibit, their bookmarks, and then there's the exhibits, huge number of them, and it tells wonderful, amazing stories of the contributions that we've made. So with that said, I'm in my head and heart because I'm like Mary. I don't want to be the engine. I'm too old. I'm and not too old, but it's a huge task to be the engine for all of it. And I would love to get others to help come along beside is what I was hearing and um, envisioning to get more folk to come along beside to help. I have no staff anymore, so I need a team for this because it needs to travel, it needs to be insured, it needs to be reproduced for a backup in case something is damaged or lost. So we're working on that, and we do have a foundation that said, give us that amount and let's see what we can do to help. So favor is there, but I don't have the staff for, the quick moving, and I have to get to it when I can get to it. And yet it's urgent that we not fall through the cracks with this history. So you have stirred me up, and I'm so grateful, but I do see that getting the children involved, school involved, and the library, they're doing a documentary on it. The historical center is doing a write-up. Two of the news stations are doing something. It's just, I'm not the octopus to stay plugged into all of them. As Mary said, it's overwhelming. And yet I recognize and realize, but this is so vitally important, especially with now, with some of our national leaders saying they want to erase our history. They don't want us talking about our contributions. Yet when I went to North Carolina and got off the plane, there were huge, big billboards and a rolling video that said, come learn about how we got our freedom. Come learn about how we fought the British. And it was like, okay, and we have freedom now. And it's like, how does this work? They don't want our history about our freedom, but they want everyone to follow their steps in freedom. So it's like, how can I create a narrative that is not necessarily judgmental, but alive, strong, that keeps this project going? And I need a team. So reimagining, pulling that team together. I do have folks but you've stirred my heart is my bottom line. And so I do see,
that's my person.
yeah, I do see ways and means for doing this. So thank you, Gail and Mary, Vanessa, and every little bit that's been said. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for what you've done. Let me just say, while you were talking, I was imagining, what if you took your bookmarks and you were able to, with every first grader in your system, your school's district, and you were able to put that bookmark digitally, and all the teacher would have to do is reprint it. The children, I mean, you could, they first, you could make it age appropriate for various grades, but digitally you could reproduce without cost to you.
And you're absolutely right. We have
I
that
don't know
for
if you
the
have if a
library.
union, if you
Yeah,
have a teachers union.
we do have it for the libraries. We reproduced it, and I do have the digital form of it, and we're letting the libraries do
Great,
that.
great.
But what we really need is school system invest. It's like they'll pay everyone for everything but us. So
Yeah.
if if there's no other way or means, I'd have to do that. But it's a dishonor, a disservice, and a devaluing to the children's history that we just take this and then they just give it to them. And then if they didn't pay, public school system, they'll erase it in a minute. Give it to them, and it's no longer a part of our curriculum. It's no longer a part of our news. So to make them have them to pay and invest in the education of our children would be the better route.
I would think, yeah. I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So, but thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Coletta, are you able to talk?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what did you hear about your fundraising efforts that's you're inspired now?
Well, I would say what did inspire us. I don't know if so we just did the hat and gloves tea at the Fairmont, and it was a lot of pressure. However, I got a chance to really see it at a different scale, is what I'm trying to say. So my mom, she has always been the person who has that vision where you don't have a fear of numbers, right?
Yeah.
And so what I want to say is that it changed my perspective because well, all of us, I think, would want to get to a day where we have like a foundation where we have our own money and we don't have to beg anyone to do what we need to do for the community, right? And because that is what controls us. Is my mother would always say to me, she said, well, if we have the money, then we can do what we need to do, and we don't have to be begging the city for this and this and that, right? It's not that you don't still continue pursuing these grants and stuff, but at the other side of it, your goal is to be in a situation where you have so much funds, then you're like the San Francisco Foundation. And then when you're like that, then you know what? You could do with the boots on the ground. Like, yeah, Carolyn, that Carolyn Scott with them boots on the ground, she was so cute. I just love it. And I've been trying, and guess what? I got my fan and I'll be going, wop, 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 wop. Just like you, okay? And so it's the gravity. It's something that as like with PWIC, where we could do to the level where we all have that skill set, right? And because we have the heart and the compassion. And so the long story short is by going through what I had to do with the Fairmont and dealing with the hotels and all the money you got to put up front and yeah. So but at the same time, God, he took care of it. And we ended up with a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful program. And I'm grateful. And so what I would say, um, so you have to have the look for the bigger picture, right? And see, I'm the person who has always been on the ground doing the work, you see. But see, with that work, the strategy of being able to have the person who has the bigger picture, right? She sees the big numbers and there's no intimidation around it. See, it all wraps right back around us. And see, my mother, she's always been like that.
So, Gail, just to give you some context on why Coletta is talking so much about her mother and money, her mother founded the first woman-owned bank in San Francisco.
Wow.
And she did another bank. So she knows about the money and the numbers and how to put that together. And Carletta didn't get that gift, but she's working on it.
But guess what? I was right there with her, but guess what? She put that gift in my son. Yeah, because he, from a little, like 8 years old, she had him going back and forth to the bank and, doing all these numbers.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And we're just grateful, and the talents that we have here at PWIC. Yeah, this is that dream and being a humanitarian and the level of people, the thousands of people that we're going to help. That's,
Yeah.
that's all of our goals. Isn't that right, Val?
Yes, that's right. It's about making a bigger impact and making a bigger impact in the finances, definitely. So thank
You
you
know
so
what's
much, Coletta. Go ahead. You
Thank you.
wanted to say something?
I was about to say that one of the things that is real clear to me when we talk about, having a vision is really you have to have folk who um who are with you as you try to make sense out of an idea or thought or whatever the project is. I don't know if you recall, I started off by saying that this all got started, with me running for school board. And from the very beginning, I always wanted and needed to have people who I could listen to and get their ideas on how you could make an idea even better. Uh, and it's so important because at each step, and as I said with the foundation, we sat around a table and invented something to meet a need that we understood we had in the system. Now, that wasn't the only one. The second one I mentioned that I didn't go into detail was to address the dropout rate issue. We went the route of establishing a dropout task force.
Wow.
And that task force had the responsibility of reviewing and studying and researching the best models throughout the country that address the issue of dropout prevention. And that very committee, which was made up of folk in the courts, judges, uh, uh, district attorneys, lawyers, parents, civic leaders, etc. And they came up with the idea of school-based health clinic. We had never had that in Louisiana.
Mm.
A school-based health clinic. In the research, and some of them even went to school districts that had them. We found out that in our schools, some of our high schools, one of the major reasons for the girls dropping out was teenage pregnancy. The school-based health clinics operate in the schools, providing uh, daycare for the children of the students. To make a long story short on that one, we were able, with the cooperation of the City of New Orleans Health Department, to write a combined school system and the City of New Orleans Health Department, a combined Kellogg's Foundation grant that established the first school-based health clinic in Louisiana. And that started with the idea that we needed to do something about the large number of youngsters who were dropping out. And we did the research. The systems health department did the research and identified the high schools with the highest rates of dropouts as a result of teen pregnancy and health related problems. We found that in many of the community's youngsters, the older youngsters, stayed home with the younger youngsters who were sick. And so we needed to address the health issues in each of the areas that we identified and needed to have a, a solution to. It was done and created by a core of people who take an idea, knock it around, turn it upside down, add, modify, change. So it could be one person who may have the vision, but you always got to have others with you. And once they buy in with you and create the idea, I'm talking too much now, but I remember the idea for the name of the campaign for the foundation came from the secretary of the school system, Frida Depolite. She saw an item in a magazine of a national organization called Dollars for Scholars, and we knocked that idea around, and that's how we came up with the idea of $1 for a scholar. And we eventually joined that national organization because the name titles were so close. And so having a core of people always with you to knock around your idea, your vision, and to make it a bigger and better vision is absolutely critical. And it has certainly helped me in every endeavor that I have entered into, to make what I thought and what I saw a much better idea because of the input of other people.
That's awesome, Dale. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So you got to pull your team together, Carolyn. And
I
you got
am.
a lot of people.
Oh, I'm grateful for that. And the more we're talking, and I've just really been relishing over that lately because we're at another level with the working with the documentary that they're doing on this. So all that you're saying is just, I'm just excited and feel even more motivated. And I wanted to ask, Riverwalk Outlet and Canal Place and Lakeside Shopping, are any of those names familiar for being across from that dome? You were
Lakeshore is out
What
for the
was the
east.
other one?
It was Riverwalk Outlet, Canal Place, and Lakeside Shopping was right across from the dome. The Super Bowl, when you were talking much earlier, that's okay. It may not be even a part of.
It's the mall that currently is used by the Saints for their games, where they it's not Canal Street. We've had an event in Canal Street, but it's the one actually it's right across the street from the City Hall gallery. I just
I
can't
know
think
what you're talking about.
the shopping center.
Yeah.
The Canal Street Mall
Right
is
across from the Superdome, right?
Yeah. But all of that to me now is becoming something I need to look at. We've got shopping centers that are wonderful, Union Square, and they're beginning to slowly grow and rise and come back to life again, although it's still pretty much like a desert since the pandemic, but things are beginning to happen and they're putting a lot of new things around there. And we have our Chase Center where the Warriors and our Valdricks are, and I'm so excited about that. So those are things that I'm looking at, where we might be able to get their buy-in. And the Warriors have been so kind, and they've been supportive, and they endorsed my project as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. And Stanford did too.
Stanford University is totally
So
aboard.
you got some people pull around here and say, how could we do this and make some funds too?
Yeah, got some wonderful advisors aboard.
Okay, thank you. Connie, Are you able to talk? Connie, are you there?
Hi.
Hey,
Hi.
hi, Connie.
Okay. I really enjoyed listening to everyone, and I don't feel like I have much of a team left. We had one before the pandemic, but it is what it is. So anyway, so I've used what I've tried to do to build my program is write a book about what I envisioned, and learning how to write a book has been amazing because now I've come up with other ideas. And one is like, for instance, I know so much about mental health and how much pickleball helps people with trauma for it, it helps prevent anxiety, depression, Alzheimer's, dementia. So anyway, so I thought, well, one thing I could do is it would be really good to get little kids interested in pickleball. And because they use, and I wanted to get them interested in a way that was active, that it was fun, that it used their imagination and their learning, and that's consumable. So I'm designing pickleball coloring books, and I'm going to get the kids and get the programs. And we are also starting the pickleball club hopefully for veterans, but because it just helps so much with the brain. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. And little kids, they really use up those consumables, those coloring books. And so that would be giving them something really fun. In fact, pickleball is now in some schools because it helps, and in jails, because it's such a good thing for all parts of for the brain and for community connection, exercise, outlet. It's such a great sport, and it's very, very popular. And so I'm thinking maybe I can raise money that way.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Connie.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Carol, did you hear anything? Are you inspired by our talk? You're on mute.
I have to admit that I have been going in and out on this
Yeah.
call, and I don't have anything to report.
Well, I do want to let you know I have the meeting, and thank you for your input and your coaching with former Mayor Willie Brown on Thursday. So
I heard that, and I think that's great.
yeah. So I wanted to thank you because I know you work with him and know him pretty well. So thank you so much.
Okay. All right.
Lorelei, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
So did you hear anything that was inspiring about you raising money or increasing your finances?
Well, I think one of the things that I want to do going forward is to teach my class on women, but I want to do it to high school girls. And in order to do that, I'm going to be working on getting funding, perhaps sponsorships from banks. So that's where I'm going to be going forward.
Okay, great. And Vanessa, Lorelei, you had spoken to, wanted to put her program to work with the inmates, to teach them. So I wanted the two of you to talk too.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I
Latoya, yeah, go ahead, Connie.
I just want to add that if anybody's interested, if I can help someone learned some things about writing a book. I'm still having trouble with formatting and things like that, but except I know how to get a book written. And it's if anybody needs any help, let me know, and I will share whatever I can.
Connie, I want to share something here with the group. This is Lorelai again. I'm just writing another book right now, and I have trouble with my computer, which the keyboard wants to jump all over the place. And so what I found an outfit online that I can just talk, and it will record what I'm saying. And then I get a transcript. And then I get the transcript and I put it into Chat GPT and it cleans it all up and it's so fast.
Fabulous. Yes.
It is fabulous because you can just talk your ideas out and then when you get the transcript back, you can edit it any way you want.
Well, I would love to have the name of that, and because I I I don't have a computer, and I've been doing everything on a cell phone, and it's really hard to format things and do a lot of things on a cell phone. But I was so determined I wanted to write this book, and it did do well. But this one was on the Green Vistas Veterans Village, but I still need to redo it because it's an ebook, and I want to have pictures. I have layouts, I have designs, I have blueprints, so I have all kinds of things, and that's what I want to share. But so I'm working with another group, and it gives you a prompt, and I did the prompt. And not only did it did the whole, redid my book, which, no, not all of it, because I do a lot of editing and a lot of dialogue, which I like in a book. And so, but it did really good job for whenever I needed research, etc. But anyway, it also created a website for me. And it was like, how good is that?
Well,
right?
I'd like to see what you could do when you get your computer. That's really great.
Well, I have an iPad, which I'm on now.
Okay.
And I just, it's just, I have this since COVID. I've been having some, some things popping up right now with going on. But and I appreciate your prayers because it's really hard. Some days are really good, and some days are very, very difficult. So I'm trying to get as much done as possible, and I've already actually written 2 more books. One is on food deserts and how to solve that, and another one is a completely different approach to the whole problem of housing. I want to get affordable housing, not just for veterans, but the next largest group is seniors who are becoming homeless because of medical expenses. So I love writing books. Well, I love my assistant with helping
just to let everyone know, her first book made bestseller in 6 categories on Amazon.
Internet,
which is huge.
Yeah.
So you go over to,
and when I get the hardback, I'm going to have a QR code, and I just love this. Person can do the QR code, and it can talk to the QR whatever, and it'll be a clone for me.
Yeah.
But if they're in Germany, it will speak in German, and my clone will speak back in German. It knows everything I know. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
okay. Thank you, Connie.
All right.
Latoya, want to go to you? Did you hear anything that was inspiring to you? Are you able to talk, Latoya?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did you hear anything that was inspiring to you?
I did. I heard a lot about resiliency. Also heard a lot about really using what you got to get to where you're going.
Yes.
And also, I heard a lot of courage and being able to change from what one thought was the plan to actually walking in the purpose. So I heard quite a few inspiring things.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Gail Latoya, if I didn't say it on the last call, is the and Vanessa, because you weren't on the class call, but Vanessa is Latoya is the person who wrote that letter for our school, for Martin Luther King School.
Oh yeah, it was a great letter. Thank you, Latoya. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
Great letter. Mm.
yeah, it was. So
Thank you. It was my honor.
yeah, I want to thank everybody for being on the call. And I hope that you were all inspired in some way to think outside of the box. I know I was. I got things going all in my head now. And I would suggest that everybody write down the amount that you want to have by the end of the year. Just write down the amount and put it somewhere and just look at it every day where you want to, how much you want to have, for your projects, for yourself. You got to take yourself.
Wow.
By the end of the year, what is your goal? And let's come back by the end of the year and see where you are.
I think that's a great idea.
That's fantastic.
In 1985, we said in 10 years we would have liquid $1 million for the Scholarship Foundation. We said 10 years. And I was talking to Sonia, who served as exec. We did it in 5.
All right.
Writing is so powerful. And
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn writes everything. She even take notes in church. And I know why she's so powerful. She take notes everywhere. If writing, it really give you clarity and it just puts something in motion.
Yeah.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
I learned that tool in law school. You see, because I was constantly, I was writing before then, but when it's on paper, yeah.
Yeah, it make a difference. And then you read it too.
And then you read it.
Yes. Make it alive. Create it. God created the world in 7 days. I'm sure we could create that amount of money by the end of the year. He said we are just like he is. Whatever he does, we could do it too. So
You're gonna
let's
make me lower my amount. You're gonna make me lower my amount so I can try to reach it.
if you go over it, then you celebrate.
Oh no, Carolyn. What's gonna happen? It's gonna be higher than what you thought.
Well,
and that'll guarantee it. If I lower it, it sure will.
Yeah.
That's called undercommit and over deliver.
Yeah.
Undercommitted, over delivered.
Yeah, that's about the way I'm gonna go. It's like, oh God, okay. I don't have. I'm still like, what's her name? Where she didn't want to be Mary Curry. I don't want to be that engine, and if I state it and put it up there, I'm one. If I say it, I'm going to do it. And I just really need to pace myself right now because there's so much going on, health-wise challenging. And so I'm going to lower that amount. That's a done deal. It's lower. But if I go over it, hallelujah. Bless God. Yes. But I did not know Latoya was with us. I'm in tears and so glad, Latoya.
Yeah, that was a powerful letter. She's a powerful young woman.
Yes, she is.
Truly is.
An anointed young vessel.
Yes, she is.
And a very committed mom and committed to the school system. Gail, she would be the Harriet Tubman walking behind you.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing to say.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, she would be that Harriet Tubman. She has literally done amazing things. And even with her children, I think it was one of her children, they speak fluent. Was that Mandarin or Cantonese, Latoya?
My daughter is Japanese.
Yes, just, I mean, fluent. And they're very smart children. If you see her online, she travels with them, and they just do historic things. I'm so proud of this young woman and love her to death. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
you all have inspired me.
I'm glad that was the purpose. We wanted to all be inspired and make that goal by the end of the year, if not before. If we make it before, we want to hear from you.
I wanted to add one thing.
Yeah.
I listened to someone today. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There's someone
Okay.
talking.
Oh, okay. He's a multi-billionaire, Quick or whatever. But anyway, his thing is just what you need to do is he gave a story about a Japanese, like very, very, very wealthy. And he said, this gentleman came up and he says, I have no money. Can you loan me some money? I don't have all this. And that. He said, no, but I can pay you for your time. And I will pay you what you want, 100,000, or I can pay you 100,000. But what you have to do is I will pay you a penny for every thank you that you say. So you have to say, I forget how many they had to do. And he said, well, how will you know I've done that? He says, I'll know. So he came back in a month and he was a completely different person because what he had been doing by saying thank you all and looking everywhere. All right, thank you. I've got a meal today. Or thank you, though it's not raining. Thank you for my family. Thank you for all this. And by constantly thanking and thanking, he came back a totally different person. He was reconnected with his family. He was reconnected with he'd gotten his job back. He was a different person. So I thought that was really interesting. So I wanted to add while you're doing doing all the different things, because you get so distracted, every few seconds, even if it's only 10 times a day or 20, it just completely changes what you focus on. Gratitude.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So great. Well, I'm request everyone to just be thankful for everything, and acknowledge all of your money. Even if you see a penny on the ground, pick it up and say, oh, closer to my goal. Thank you, God.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, God. Someone just give you a gift of $5 or pay for your lunch. All of that counts. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for all.
And say thank you that you have money to buy someone a lunch.
That's right. Yes. So with that said, and Gail Robin's been on the call too. She just quiet, listening.
Hey, Robin. Hi, Robin. Good.
Yeah. But anyway, I wanted to. Sometimes she don't know how. She have a new phone and she doesn't know how to unmute it. So I'll hear from her later. But anyway, I wanted to thank everyone, and I forgot to press the button to do the. It was right here to make it AI. Is it too late? Could they still do the AI recorded?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Let's see. Where is that button?
While she's looking for it, Dr. Carolyn, did you say you have a lot of things you have to do? Okay, well, I found something that helped me tremendously, especially with my memory issues. There's a tool, I guess it is, or an app, and you just put down, like, pick up groceries, talk to so and so, or whatever. You could just put one or two words, and what it does, when you go back and you're looking for it, you just put down one word and the AI finds it and gives it to you. One or two words. And another one, for email, it will completely organize all of your emails. you can prioritize them. You can put subscriptions. You can put whatever. And so you might say to someone, if they want money or something, and say, no, thank you, or no, thank you. Well, what AI does, it responds in a very polite manner that not at this time, but all you had to do is write the word no thanks or no. So there are so many tools right now that I'm learning about. I just wanted to share a couple of them that are totally helping me. And I really think that's a blessing from God too. So
Thank you.
and we need to teach our kids some of these things. And I really think we should also make sure that it is our lawmakers make sure it's ethical people, and they can make rules. They can't just do anything, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
So the question is, what app are you using?
I'll have to look them up, and I'll share them with Valerie. How's that?
That sounds wonderful.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Wonderful. It sounds interesting. I was going to ask that too. Where do I find this help?
Well, what the thing is about, and it all came from this one doctor, and all of them except one of the tools were free. And what he said was he had ADD, he had all these different problems. Now he has two master's degree, a medical degree, I forget how many thousands of people follow him on social media. He gives information, and he's not trying to get you to buy something. He's just so ethical. And that's the name I need to give you, because he doesn't add a lot of crap to it to make it long. It's to the point. So I thought I can share that. And he has all these different things I was talking about. So I might just give you that. I can send you that.
Okay.
Because he said the reason so many people are stressed, one of the reasons, they have so many things to remember. And your brain you never have a chance just to relax. But if you know you're not going to lose it and you can find it easily, well, you can relax, especially at night, and not even think about all the things you got to do.
Awesome. But thank you so much for sharing. Thank all of you for being on the call, Gail. It was really wonderful. You inspired all of us.
Well,
and
you inspire me. All of you inspire me. Thank you.
So have a great rest of your day, and we will talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
God bless all. Take care.
Bye.